Good afternoon, I'm Terrytopcat, and I'm with my great friend, ClusterView.com, and he's an absolute legend, and we've been dying to get him for ClusterView for a long time, and we've been dying to get him for ClusterView for a long time. Rusty Egan. Good afternoon, Rusty. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Terrytopcat. A pleasure to be here.
You know what? So, obviously, I'm going to tell you my musical history, and then we'll go into yours. So, I mean, I suppose at the moment I like all genres, and rock and alternative rock is my kind of thing, and I love soul music. But I was really a soul boy and electronic music. So when I first got into music in 1982 with Shalimar, then it was Thompson Twins, Human League, 717, the wonderful ABC, big love to Mark around the corner. And, you know, I never went to the Camden Palace, I never went to the Blitz. But that electronic music always kind of was the first kind of music, and Visage particularly. So when I heard Faded Grey and that first album, and then Night Train. So tell us about your musical journey, starting with, were your parents musical? When did you first hear music?
All that is in my book.
Yes, of course. Which is out now.
Yeah, the only book ever in 45 years. And on social media, somebody said, "Oh, were you going on about that?" And I said, "Yeah, I wrote one book in 45 years. That's what you do. You talk about your childhood and stuff.
Time as well.
So that stuff is in there. And I'm a little bit older than you, so I was around in the very violent 1970s. But I also was into lovers rock in 1970s.
I love that.
And I was actually living in North London, and there was a TV show about lovers rock. I think it was by a West Indian guy about the West Indians moving to Ladbroke Grove and Willesden and Harlesden and all that. Yeah. So I used to hang out there, and I was into Prince Buster and soul like you and Marvin Gaye, and we went to house parties in those days. Never interested in being a DJ. I went to the youth club and there was a DJ, and the DJ to me really was just a sort of fan, really. And even the ones that made it to the radio, they were all joke. The hairy cornflake, I mean, you know, it wasn't until Sunday night, the soul radio show that we listened to on Capital.
That's right.
Yeah, he was the only guy, really. And then he got copied by Tony
Blackburn. Tony Blackburn?
Tony Blackburn on Radio London, yeah. Right. So dance music, club music, DJ music, extended 12-inch records, they tended to all be soul. And in the book, it probably mentions I went to Soul Weekenders, but I ended up being sent away to institutions and Borstals and having a really terrible childhood. Sorry. So that's in there. So those, like the film Scum, you know. Yeah. So I had to toughen up and be a bit of a geezer, but of course I had 50 fights and then won 2 of them, you know. Just got beaten up in Borstal, which was really good because in the book it says that, like the film Clockwork Orange, I now hated violence, and I've actually got a track out called Ultra V, and I sampled Clockwork Orange, and it's on YouTube. I made a video as well, and it just basically says in the late 70s it was very violent to go out. And of course when I joined punk bands, I ended up being right in the middle of it all. And Sham 69, National Front, racism, Rock Against Racism. So basically in the Rich Kids with Glenn Matlock and Midge Ure, I said, "Look, Midge, have you heard of Kraftwerk? They wear suits. they play synthesizers. The drummer is never out of time. You can dance to it. We go out to a club and we start to dance, you know. Meet Iggy Pop and David Bowie, Trans Europe Express." So in the Rich Kids, we got a Yamaha CS30. I thought it was an 80. And I bought a CR78 drum machine, which is the one on Fade to Grey. It's also on In the Air Tonight and Enola Gay, and then I had it in the Skids as well. So the bottom line was I got into playing in time like a drum machine and DJing. So I found that, again, you join a band, you get a record deal, and then your career's over and you're only bloody 20. You never got paid. Yeah, you know. So I went out to a club and a bloke said the DJ's OD'd in the toilet. I said, I'll put the records on. And then he fed me. And he had burgers and chips, and there's some girls. Can I get some drinks for the girls? Suddenly the DJ was like, wow, I get drinks, I get food, I get in clubs. Yeah. So I thought I'd just do that, easy, you know, before joining or making another band. So that was in the book, sort of teenage, rough thing, punk rock, which then brings you to being a DJ, which is what I'm more known for.
Yeah.
But
at that time you must have met, obviously he was before the wonderful Boy George, but you must have met a character like Philip Sallon, who I love. I mean, I love Philip Sallon. What a character.
Well, no, I met
don't know him
Philip Sallon in North London when I was about 15.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I went out with him to clubs, you know. And although he is gay, I have never known him to be anything sexual. There were some people who go, oh, have you heard? Yeah. You know, because that's what people do with everyone now. So the point really was he just loved to parade.
That's the right word.
Yeah. And this is Rusty, this is my friend, and this is my friend. So you were like his friend that week. You know? And then you had to ring him to get taken out again. And I went to Shagaramas and Louisa's. You wouldn't have found out about those clubs if you were like a geezer, you know. So I actually found the gay clubs, and then I heard the Georgia Moroder and saw it all. Yeah. And I thought, I really like Sheila B. Devotion.
Great song.
You know, he's a spacer, and I really like Rogers. Space by Magic Fly.
Yeah, that's another
and then I was like, but what's all that other stuff? You know. But then there was like, I Need a Man, Grace Jones. So the point really was I was very welcoming to the gay community, even though I'd been a geezer, because I'd already met the horrible thugs, and I didn't want to be a geezer.
Sure.
I wanted to be with the gay people, because they also had girls.
Yeah, exactly.
And girls would always be like, you're not gay.
Yeah.
And I'd go, no, I'm not gay. And they'd be like, oh my God. And as you can see, I was a good looking boy.
Yeah.
So I did very well.
So how did you meet Steve Strange?
Well, he was a fan of the Pistols.
And then tell me about how you formed the Blitz with him.
Yeah, well, Steve was a fan of the Pistols.
Okay.
So he ran away from Wales at 15. The Pistols played in Wales, didn't they? So he just ran away from home. And of course, you read his book, which I haven't, but I believe he had peroxide hair, green hair, you know, headmasters, outside the headmasters every day. And then he just ran after the Sex Pistols, lived with Jean-Jacques Brunel, I think, you know.
Wow, okay.
Well, you know, he was kind of, can I stay in your sofa?
Right,
Like 2 weeks later, he's still on your sofa, you know, until he had to go to the next sofa. So eventually, he was following the rich kids with Princess Julia in Wales. And then I said to the band, oh, we got a day off tomorrow, in the middle of the tour. And then we're going to be in like Hales Owen or something in Birmingham. So I just stayed with Steve, some mate, actually the bloke who owned the club in I've forgotten, Newport. There was a club there. So we just stayed at his place on his sofa, and then the next day we hitched to the next gig on the tour. And then Steve said, oh, I'm going to come to London and see the Banshees, and I can stay with Marco, but he lives all the way out in Harrow, and you live in like Notting Hill, you know. So I didn't live in Notting Hill then. I lived in Marylebone, because that's where the rich kids' office was. Anyway, cut long story sideways. Steve started hanging out with me because I had a sofa and you could walk there from the West End because it was in the West End.
Sure.
I lived in the West End. But I was struggling to pay the rent, so I had to DJ. So I went to this club called the Speakeasy, which was known in the punk days for having Sid Vicious had a fight with someone in there and bottled someone. They used to bottle people, didn't it? It was very violent. But anyway, the Speakeasy, and I could go there on my way home, and I'd go to the Vortex, you know, and I'd just go to all these clubs, and then go to the Speakeasy, and then Giorgio would say, will you DJ? Oh, great, I'll get fed. And then I didn't want the job. If he said, do you want to be a DJ? Oh, fuck off, I'm going to be in a band.
Yeah.
And not only that, not insulting DJs, I wanted to write and produce music. I didn't want to play someone else's music. The way we used to think was never be a DJ. You know, if you did, it was like some bloke from Hospital Radio who might have been working at Butlins. Then they got onto the radio. Hi, I'm Timmy Mallet. You know, who wants to be a DJ there weren't exactly any cool DJs, you know.
So the Blitz was a very short time, like from 79 to 81. Then more and more things happening for you. They used your music for Yellow Pearl, for the intro for Top of the Pops, which I know you got a bit of a contention about because you never got...
No, I've never said nothing about anything. I put it all in my book.
Okay.
No. As I just said, I wanted to write and produce music.
Right, exactly. Okay.
And I never considered being a DJ anything of any, right? And if I went to Notting Hill, the DJs that played the soul and funk, they would have acetates or dub plates.
That's right.
They turned me on to Joe Gibson, you know, they turned me on 2/7's Clash Culture. They turned me on to a genre of music that had nothing to do with the radio or nothing. And when I was playing drums with the Clash before they made indie records, the jukebox only had reggae.
Nice.
Reggae was a cultural music that had nothing to do with the music business. You get them in. Sure. And Chris Blackwell, who was from the Cross and Blackwell family, as we know, went to Harrow School, etc. He brought My Girl Lollipop. That was a pop record. That was his. That's how he started Island Records. But in those days, he would drive around to all the reggae shops with the actual records that he pressed himself. Wow. You know, so it was like from the ground up.
Such a
but
maverick.
He signed Roxy Music.
Yeah.
You know,
Grace Jones.
Grace Jones. People that you didn't think could even sing or something. As a matter of fact, with Grace Jones, when he came to the Blitz Club, he heard me DJing, and then he just came up, what's that? I said, it's Night Clubbing by Iggy Pop. What's that? It's Warm Leatherette. What's that? It's Private Lives by Pretenders. He just covered them all for Grace Jones.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, on the way here, I was just thinking, I sat in a cafe about 20 years ago with the guy who signed Ali Zapak. You won't believe it. Bernie Griffiths.
Okay.
And Bernie Griffiths was at Island Records in 1988, 89.
Great time.
I think he signed the Christians from Liverpool.
Well, I love them.
So I remember sitting there with Bernie Griffiths about 20 years after. And then I went, my career was over by 1989. I'd been robbed by everyone. That's in the book. Yet, I was completely ignored by everyone in Island Records from the A&R, Malcolm Dunbar.
That's right.
And Clive Banks. And as I walked up here, I said to myself, I brought John Baker to see Chris Blackwell at Island Records in 1988-89. To get that appointment, I had to call U2's manager to get Chris to see me. And we went in there with Gail Ann Dorsey.
I love Gail.
Can you believe this?
Yeah.
And...
well, did they sign her first record?
No, they didn't sign her.
Wow.
But guess what they did? they signed Queen Latifah, PM Dawn, and the Stereo MCs.
All great acts.
I made that introduction, and I'm walking up here today. I'm walking up here today to see you in 2025, and I was thinking, like earlier, Bernard Rhodes, Malcolm McLaren, what was their input? And I was thinking of you, and I was thinking, Terry might have introduced someone or made a suggestion, just like Malcolm told Adam, listen to Burundi Stevenson Black and get another drummer. What I'm saying is, I said something like that to the kid who was 26 on Monday. And I'm saying that when you read books, certain people, not in mine actually, but when I've read books, I read Dirk Bogart's book. I love Dirk Bogart. And I read Orson Welles. You know, there were some great people that, and when you hear about great people that you admire, they're honest. They don't hide it because they are great. And the ones that go, oh, I've forgotten how I came up with that idea, or I don't know how I found the drummer, the bass player, the guitarist, or the cover version of that song. Yeah, it's all a blur. And you fucking know well who told you that. You know what producer got you in the studio and did whatever. And I think I wrote something the other day. Yeah, I did. I said there's a great talent in finding the right singer, the right producer, the right song, the right
Totally
studio,
agree.
the right artwork, the right video. I mean, you look at the record sleeve of someone, you think David Bowie went to Berlin to get clean, right? To get away from it all, right? And Brian Eno was the one who played him Noi. I don't know if you know, but Noi had got a song called Hero, right? Noi is Michael Rauder, Hans Lamp, Klaus Dinger. I mean, this is, I don't know if you know, but in the film about Joy Division, the band go to the singer's house. He goes in his bedroom. He goes, right, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. Can you guys do this? This is what I want, right? He's giving them Noi. And this is the point. The point is when you say to Midge Ure, right, Midge, I've got this singer. He's not a singer. Fucking don't worry about that. He's a fucking star. You get what I mean? He's a star, right? I want you to come to this club. It's a gay club, but don't worry. I know you're not gay. You'll be fine. Nobody will, you know what I mean? It's like somebody saying to me, I'm going to take you to the Negril in Jamaica or something, and I'm going, oh my God, someone's going to rob me. He goes, no, why would you even think like that? Well, I don't know, do I? Sure. It's like when you go to New York and you went to Alphabet City in the 80s and they went, oh, you'll get robbed down there, but that's where all the good stuff was.
Nice reference to ABC.
Yeah, I went to the Mud Club there. I went to the Mud Club there, Alphabet City.
So let me stop you there. So I want to talk about your album. So we know about your club days and the Blitz, and also you did Camden Palace, which was legendary from '82. Let's talk about you making music, because like you say, you are a steam DJ, and I actually recently saw you support the legends that are Martin and Henry, Heaven 17. You actually played the Normal, which Grace Jones also covered, which I bought the original because of you.
Yes.
Because of you, I bought the 7
Yeah, I was what they call an influencer then.
You still are.
Yeah.
So tell us about the process of you making music. So 2017 was the first album. Well, you obviously did lots of production.
Well, I'll tell you.
Your first solo album,
right,
wasn't it?
I'll tell you now. This book gets you up to 89, 90, where I found Seal Beethoven Street Studios, took it to Trevor Horn's.
Did you really? Oh, wow.
I took it to Liam Teeling, who had Trevor Horn's publishing company in the Psalm Studios.
Yeah.
Don't call us, we'll call you. And then I was working with a guy, and we had a management company, and we had a band, and he had a band, and I did the Malcolm McLaren bit. I went to the Forest of Dean, and I said, guys, this shoegazing, indie music is over. The Stone Roses are here, right? Get a DJ in the band. Get a DJ and make your music so that you can fucking dance to it, because everybody is not going to a gig anymore. They're going to a rave, but they still want tunes. So they ended up becoming EMF, which means ecstasy motherfuckers, right? He managed them, my partner at the time, and I was saying the only way we can finance this is to run a club. So I got Judge Jules, it's in the book. I got Judge Jules, and we started a couple of club nights, and we put like 300 people. I had Norman, not Jay, but Norman.
Normsky.
No, the two Irish brothers. Yeah. Anyway, they were called the Battle Bridge Boys, and they did raves, and I brought them into the West End, and we did like rave music in the West End. Anyway, the ecstasy and the cocaine just never stopped flowing, So getting up to my music, I had turned my back on what I considered to be the music business, because I've been ripped off by everyone. And even found Seal, don't call us, we'll call you. EMF never got paid. My own records didn't get paid. My own royalties didn't get paid. My best friend fucking stole my money. Somebody wrote me out of a song. I just thought, you horrible. But I didn't say anything. This is the point of this conversation today. I didn't say anything until 45 years later. So I'm sort of just saying, wow, it's like marriage, even my wife took my house. I mean, I'd lost everything. I was in a rave, off my face, here, Notting Hill, off my face at Sniffer Griffiths, we used to call him, the studio where Madness, Clanger Winstanley, I've forgotten the name of the road between
I know when
Queen, I don't know what it's called. There was a studio up there. So basically, we had a New Year's Eve rave and sold tickets 25 quid each. And then, when all the money was sold, my partners cut me out. So I was January, freezing cold, snow on the ground, in a flat of a girl who paid 40 quid a week for a room. In 1990, New Year's Eve, 1990, and I'm with this girl who I'd met off my tits. I'd been married 88, 86, 87, 88, and I had a daughter, and I was off my face. That's all I had was drugs, because I had a rave. And I made this decision, everyone's robbed you. Everyone. But not this girl. She's here with you while you got nothing. So then I went back to this management partner's house in Westbourne Grove, and I said, look, no drugs. Start the year clean. This is 1990, right? We're going to find the next band, next whoever DJ. We'll finance it with the club. And I did. I paid rent to his own girlfriend for his own office. Made it all business-like, got a company, got an accountant. I had nowhere to live. I had nothing, But I said, we do it right. So my point I'll get to my music was, I tried everything. And then he was like, let's just get wasted. Let's just take drugs. And I was going, mate, you're living off your girlfriend. She pays the rent. I fucking lost everything. I'm living in a room. I haven't even got 40 quid a week to, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to get fucking serious. But I was just surrounded by druggy, party, fucking wasters. Believe it or not, Carol Hayes, she gave me a desk.
The other night.
Gave me a desk and a phone.
Yeah.
And China White was going to open, and some people. The bottom line was, I found her a client, you know, and she had a client, Innocent Fruit Juice. She, can't you just get that into some shops or something? You know what I mean? So basically, by hook or by crook, Carol gave me 100 quid a week or something, and a desk and a phone, and then there was a computer, and I learned how to do a business plan. And then I met this nerd, and I got him to do it and put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and to put it into, what do you call them things, it was like a circle, and you could say a slice of a cake. It was a
Pie chart or something.
It was just a program where you could say how many people were going to come to the club, how many drinks they were going to have, what nights of the week they were going to come. And I managed to get the Embargo Club. I had no money, but it was a recession. No one was paying the rent. And I had the club in the West End rammed out every weekend. So the landlord said, well, how many people come in here every weekend? I said, I can do 600 people, 10 quid a head, minus overheads.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, give me $2,000 a week and you can have the club. $2,000 a week. He goes, plus that. 10 grand a month. But in the King's Road, I'll have that. So the bottom line was, suddenly I've got a nightclub. I'm on the King's Road and I'm ramming it out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all with a limited company and paying the bills. You know what I'm saying? Everything was always legit. I always paid the VAT, always paid the bills, and I always paid my council tax. And I rented a flat. We'll get to my music. The point was, luckily I paid the council tax, because 1995, I got married in 93 again, and 95 I decided, let the club go, let the flat go, let everything go. It's in the book, and go on the dole. Now, don't forget, I'm doing coke with Michael Hutchence in Chelsea Harbour, but my daughter is now 7 years old and I haven't seen her.
Yeah.
That daughter from 1986, 87, 88, she was born. And I'm going, I'm off my tits still. I was trying to get off my tits in 1990 and I'm still off my tits. And I need to get back to doing something like making music, like owning a club and taking drugs. Forget it. So to let it go again, like I was in 1990 in a room, 40 quid and broke again. To let it all go again, I said, let's have babies, to my girlfriend, who was there with me when I had nothing. So in 95, I wasn't clean, and my son was born. And we joke about me being coked up, because it was a Saturday night. I was running a club. And we joked because, do you remember, was it Reeves and Mortimer? Oh, he wouldn't let it lie. Remember that? So the bottom line was, for my son's entire sort of teenage years, his mum used to say, and he was coked up the night you were born. And of course, 88 days later was the next time I was coked up, and I haven't been 30 years in February. So the point was, I just said, no matter what, I've got to get off the fucking drugs.
Sure.
And now I've got a daughter I haven't seen, and I've got a new son, you know, I've got a new wife, and I'll go for it. So basically, because I got clean, I said, where's the money? So I started to go backwards to find the people that had robbed me. And when you do 12 steps, you find people you harmed, like your daughter, and you make an amend, and you say, look, I'm really sorry, I was fucked up.
Yeah.
And my life was a mess. You know, Not like your mum fucking robbed me or my business partner. And I tracked down all the people that had damaged me. And they all knew. But they all had their story too.
I'm sure.
You see? So I started to go, maybe I'm older and wiser. So I started to make music again, sort of 2002, 3, 4. I went to a nightclub, Roger Michael, and his DJ was terrible. And he used to have a night in my nightclub. And he said, no, my DJ, he let me down. This is just some bloke. And I was like, Roger, I live around the corner. I'll do it for you. And I thought I could do that clean. So the point was, I started DJing again, but nearly every night. I had kids now, so it was Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And I started to write some songs. I wrote a song called Lonely Highway, which was about, in those years of DJing, I saw people fall in love, and I didn't see them for 3 years. And then when they came back, I said, you're back on the lonely highway.
Good title.
And that's why it goes, hey girl, inside you're dying. I've been there before. I've walked along the lonely highway. I know you're trying, but after every high is a low, lonely girl. And I got Tony Hadley. I went on tour, 2009. Spandau got back together and said, would I DJ before them on a tour? And I got back friendly with Steve Norman, and it was lovely. And I was, 2009, 95? I've met 10 years or more clean, you know what I mean? And I'd sorted out all my problems. But now I was like, I don't want to be in the music business. But then, because I tracked down all the money, I found that it was going to Steve Strange, 2009-10. And Steve was like, you cut me out of Fade to Grey, and I'm taking it, it's my money. And I went, well, I was cut out of Fade to Grey as well. And
but then you did the Return to the Blitz with Steve, didn't you?
Yeah, it was all like trying to make amends. Yeah, it was all trying to make amends. And I went on a TV with him, and I did all these things with him. But he signed an agreement, and his manager, and I have a copy of the agreement, and then they both said, I know we said we'd pay. And I went, Steve, come on. Fucking, I've got 3 kids at home. You're a single gay guy going off to Egypt, blowing money. He had like 200 grand. It wasn't just mine. John McGeer, who died.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just terrible.
Back to your music.
So then, going back to my music,
yeah,
I through teeth like that, I said, I will do that back to the Blitz. I will do the Visage album number 4. And I will get hold of Mick McNeil from Simple Minds, Robin Simon from Ultravox. I got hold of Chris Payne from Gary Newman. I started to write all these songs, including Lonely Highway, which I already had. I already had half a dozen ideas that I suddenly started to go, yeah, maybe I could write an album, right? And not only that, because I'd only ever co-written. What do you mean? Well, I share it with everyone else. I thought other people that I bring in would help us and Steve. Steve, give me some ideas, you know. And then his manager said, no, Rusty, you're missing the point. So I go, what, you've robbed me of all my royalties, yeah? And we're going to make another Visage album, and I'm halfway through writing it. What have you got to say? I've already written it. I've already got the album, Rusty. I've had a team of writers copying Visage. What? He said, I work with loads of people. We just got it. And he played me what is called...
If you don't see no punks and down, you know the sound stand quick.